Licensed LEGO games have been around for close to 20 years. There have been a total of 36 licensed LEGO games, so I decided to head back to the start of it all and get all the achievements for LEGO Star Wars the video game for the PlayStation 2. With a total of 30 achievements to grab, let's get started. As we begin, I got a huge wave of nostalgia. I know the Mos Eisley Cantina from the other games is a beloved place, but I loved Dexter's Diner as a hub world for this game. We get to start as Qui-Gon Jinn and Obi-Wan Kenobi and head into Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. Chapter 1, Negotiations. We see a ship arrive at a space station. Qui-Gon Jinn and Obi-Wan leave the ship and meet up with TC-14, and our pilots get absolutely obliterated. In LEGO games, we collect a currency known as studs, and we are going to need a lot of them, as one achievement in this game is to collect 1 million studs. Luckily, because this is a LEGO game, a lot of the environment can be destroyed. Silver studs are worth 10, gold studs are worth 100, and blue studs are worth 1000. We can also interact with the environment by using the Force with the Jedi characters. As we collect studs, you can see this yellow bar at the top start to fill. In each level, if we collect enough studs, we can obtain True Jedi, another achievement for us to grab by doing this in every single level. After destroying the door, we get attacked by the first enemies of the game, droids. Throughout this first section, I collected as many studs as possible by interacting and destroying everything on the way. And by interacting with everything, these switches gave us our first collectible of the playthrough, a canister. There are 10 hidden canisters in every single level that we will need to collect, with some that will need us to replay the level with different characters. Heading into the next corridor, we find TC-14, and here we can get our first achievement, Made in China, which we obtain by opening a door as C-3PO or TC-14 when fully broken. So, after a few lightsaber slashes, we hop over to the door controls and pop the first achievement of the playthrough. By turning on all the purple switches, we grab the second canister of the level. At this point, we already had over 20,000 studs, so after destroying these bombs, we get our first True Jedi for filling up the yellow bar. In the next area, we collect a canister just off to the side, which I reached with a double jump. I defeated a ton of droids, including some droidicas, and by using the Force, we can stack some platforms and turn on a switch to reach the fourth canister. We finished the level by escaping in a droid ship and obtained the achievement, The Negotiations Were Short, for completing the level for the first time. This also unlocks Episode 2 and 3 for us to play, but for now, let's continue with Episode 1. We unlock TC-14 as a character and can see that there are a bunch of characters to collect, and we will need them all to get the achievement they'll soon be back. For getting True Jedi, we unlock our first super kit piece, and the canisters we collected are used to build different vehicles from the series, so we will need to go back later on to get the rest. Heading into Chapter 2, The Invasion of Naboo, Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan jump from the droid ship and we start to explore a forest. Up ahead, by using the Force, we destroy a droid ship, allowing us to collect the first canister of the level. Then we see everyone's favourite character of all time, Jar Jar Binks, who is just living his absolute best life, which is about to end in the next 10 seconds. Luckily, Qui-Gon grabs him and saves his life. Now, as useless as Jar Jar is in the films, in this game, he's actually super useful, as he has a super jump which is going to allow us to get to difficult to reach places, and collectibles, including this second canister. We fight some more enemies, use Jar Jar to grab the third canister, move some of the wall using the Force to collect the fourth canister, and carry on. We defeat some droids in a swampy area and destroy some bricks to reveal another canister, and head into the final section of the level. By using the Force here, we can build a robot to get the next canister, and by collecting some more studs, we obtain True Jedi for this level and head into the water to finish the level. Jar Jar takes us under the water to a city. Qui-Gon then uses the Force to get us a ship and off we go, getting us the achievement, oh boy, am I gonna be played, for finishing Chapter 2. We unlock Jar Jar as a character and head into Chapter 3, Escape from Naboo. We see a bunch of droids heading towards Naboo. We arrive in Naboo and the Queen gets taken hostage until we take out all the droids holding her captive. We can now play as Captain Panaka and Queen Amidala. With these being characters who can use guns, they also have the ability to grapple up to places with this symbol. As we explore, we travel up the buildings defeating enemies and collecting studs, until we come to our first canister of the level, hidden at the back of the next section. After fighting some more droids, we drop down and find another canister hidden in the corner. We meet up with Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan in the next section of the level, and take out all of the droids. Using the grapple, we find another canister on a balcony, and then after collecting some more studs, we unlock True Jedi for this level. Using these platforms, I was able to shoot all the targets in order to open up the gate to the next area. In the final section of the level, I was able to find 2 more canisters, one hidden in this cage, and the other in this cage, which happened to be the ending of the level. We drop down and kill some droids, and the Queen takes us on her ship to escape the planet, getting us the achievement, Rescue the Princess, and unlocking Queen Amidala and Captain Panaka as playable characters. We then head into a super fun level. Chapter 4 is Mos Espa Podrace. We arrive at Tatooine and the hyperdrive breaks down, so we track down a salesman slash mosquito slash greedy bastard and meet Anakin Skywalker. Anakin shows us that he can get us the money for the hyperdrive by winning the pod race. This leads us into the start of the classic pod race level, and one of my personal favourites. Throughout the level, the canisters are found in these little containers. While doing each section, they are fairly easy to find, so I'll cover the sections of the race. One thing that makes the race difficult is how fast you can die to certain things, such as falling down holes and losing all 4 of your hearts. If you die, then you start that section over again. The first section ends by racing through this cave, with some tight corners, and trust me, even if you think you're close to the next section, you can still die. The next section shows Tusken Raiders getting ready to shoot at us as we race past. The bullets are pretty easy to dodge here, unless you are a complete ass at the game like me. The next section has you use boosters in order to beat it in time. Oh yeah, each section is also timed, and it's incredibly tight timing, so you want to make sure you hit every single booster in order to make it. That covers lap 1. Lap 2 begins with Sebulba absolutely killing this guy and causing some changes to the next lap. The section with the Tusken Raiders is now full of boulders falling towards us. Easy to pass for now, but it's going to be a pain for the next lap. Hitting the boosters on the final section, we head into lap number 3. The pathway is now changed to throw us off, and now it's time for the worst part of this level. The Tusken Raider section of lap 3. All of the boulders are now stationary, and we have to maneuver around them. The amount of times I went into these boulders by mistake was ridiculous, and I'm pretty sure I hated this section as a kid. On the final section, we are now head to head with Sebulba, and all we have to do is hit every single booster to just about beat him on the final seconds of the race. We win the money for the hyperdrive, take it back to the ship to install it, and with Anakin now joining us, we leave Tatooine, getting the achievement, Now This is Pod Racing. I found all 10 canisters during the race, so that completes our first whole mini kit for the playthrough, Sebulba's pod, and gets us a ton of blue studs. However, I didn't get True Jedi, so I'll have to come back for that later on. For now, let's play Chapter 5, Retake Theed Palace. Heading back to Naboo, we meet up with the Gungans and form a truce. They agree to fight and distract the droid army while we sneak back into the palace. The start of the level is being defended by a ton of droids and droidicas, but using Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan, we can easily defeat them all. While exploring this area, we find the first canister. Next up, we have an achievement we can unlock. Now that we have R2-D2 with us, we can get this achievement. I can't do the scream justice, so I'll let my good friend Cole say the name. To unlock it, all we have to do is let R2-D2 die to hear his iconic scream. Next, if we destroy this statue and press the button, it reveals our second canister for this level. Moving on, smashing through this window gets us our third canister. After crossing a bridge, if we backtrack and jump up on this building with Obi-Wan, we can reach another canister. We come to an area where we need to use Kid Anakin to vent over to the other side in order to open up the door to the next section. If we jump down, we can collect the 5th canister of the level. We then build an elevator for R2, reveal a grapple for Padme and Panaka, build a vent for Kid Anakin, and use the Force for both Jedi so that everybody can make it to these switches to get us into the next part of the level. Here we collect a ton of studs by searching the huge room and make it back outside, because earlier on I spotted a blue stud which I forgot to pick up, and by grabbing it we got True Jedi for this level. The final room contained a bunch of guards who had been captured by droids, so one by one we defeated each droid and saved all of the guards to finish up the level. The gang starts getting shot at by droidicas. Kid Anakin gets into a starship and takes out the droidicas for us to get the achievement Anti-Impeachment, and we unlock Padme Battle, R2-D2, and Anakin Skywalker Boy as playable characters. Next up, we have the final chapter of Episode 1, Darth Maul. Back in the hangar, the remaining characters go to escape, but are stopped by Darth Maul blocking the doorway. Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan step forward and the fight begins. Cornered, Darth Maul jumps over a bridge and the level begins. Darth Maul has 4 droids for backup, but luckily for us, we can use the lightsabers to deflect the shots right back at them, destroying them all. We then use the Force to push back an object at Maul who is trying to attack us. After repeating this process a few times, Maul is then pushed back into the next room, and we are free to build the bridge and explore the room. Heading to the right side of the room, we can pick up the first canister, and over on the left hand side, we can just about collect this next one by using a special lightsaber move. In the next section, we chase down Maul while jumping from platform to platform. We We then enter a massive room. By approaching Maul, he heads over to the back of the room and drops the bridge, so we are unable to cross. For now, we have to defeat these droids, specifically the ones at the back who keep calling in reinforcements. Then, after a couple of droidicas, the bridge has returned, and we can finally chase down Maul once more. By pulling down the switches, it allows us to head into the next section, which was blocked by a red force field. Each switch released a ton of studs, getting us true Jedi for this level. It was now time for the boss battle against Darth Maul. Maul had 10 hearts for us to take out. The first 5 were pretty easy, with just some simple hits from the lightsabers hurting him. Next, he jumped up on these platforms and threw objects at us using the force. But by pushing them back with the force, we were able to hurt him and take him down from each of the platforms. The final section of the fight, Maul would try to force choke the main player, but by switching out at the last moment, I was then free to attack him until the very final hit. We see Qui-Gon get 1000 degree knifed by Maul. Obi-Wan and Maul have an epic fight, but Obi-Wan gets knocked into a hole. He then uses the force to jump up, grab Qui-Gon's lightsaber and cut Maul in half, before crying over the body of Qui-Gon. With that, episode 1 is finished, getting us the achievement Darth Maul. Of course, we will have to come back to episode 1 later on for all the missing canisters and a true Jedi, but for now, let's see the ending of episode 1. Even though Qui-Gon is dead, it's party time on Naboo. Everyone is celebrating and a truce between the people of Naboo and the Gungans is settled, and everybody is happy. But for us, the journey is just getting started. It's time to play episode 2, Attack of the Clones. Chapter 1 of episode 2 is called Discovery on Kamino. Now, years later, Obi-Wan is trying to track down a bounty hunter called Jango Fett, and his searchers brought him to Kamino. As we land, we see this long-necked bitch get hit by a lightning strike. So, we go to help her out, which creates a bridge for us to cross. Before crossing, we explore the area and find the first canister of the level. After performing another lightsaber jump, we grab it. On the other side, if we fly over using R4, we can grab the second canister before heading inside the building. We meet with another long-necked alien and follow them. The room they take us to is the creation room of all of the clones. I love the little baby Lego bricks in the jars, it cracks me up every time. We see all of the clones gearing up for a war and continue through the level. The next corridor has a bunch of blue switches, and by turning them all on, we get our next canister. Before heading into the next required room, I run forward to check out a different room. As a kid, this was one of my favourite parts of the game. If you step on all these switches in order with your partner, a Star Wars dance party starts up, with all the characters dancing away, and we get given a canister for doing this. Heading back to the other room, we meet Jango Fett, who Obi-Wan recognises instantly. He pushes us out of the way and we are stopped by flying droids. After destroying them, I explore the room and find a bunch of Lego pieces. When the Force is used on them, they create a picture of Jango, which can be changed to be the clone troopers, and we can obtain the canister locked away. By destroying the bombs to the side, we unlock true Jedi for this level, and chase down Jango Fett. The chase leads into another room, where we can get this canister by standing on the right switches shown on the wall. The chase then leads outside where Jango has placed down bombs to take us out. After letting all of the bombs blow up sections of the bridge, and myself a couple of times, we chase Jango through one more room, where he sets some droids on us. After defeating them and using R2 to open up the door, we get to the final section, where him and his son are trying to escape, and here we get to fight him. Jango Fett has 10 hearts, double pistols, his ship can attack us, and he can also fly. But there's one thing he's forgotten. We are Obi-Wan freaking Kenobi, and one by one we take out all of his hearts. Just as Obi-Wan is about to kill Jango, the ship fires at Obi-Wan, sending him flying, and Jango escapes onto the ship, but Obi-Wan manages to place a tracker onto the ship before it takes off, and we chase him down to the next planet. For finishing chapter 1, we get the achievement Father of All, and unlock Obi-Wan Kenobi Jedi Master and R4-P17 as playable characters, and head into the next chapter, Droid Factory. We see Obi-Wan land on a planet he chased Jango down to. He then sends a message to Anakin and Padme, who happen to be on a date together. He shows them that he is in trouble. They then head to the planet to try and rescue Obi-Wan. We then find ourselves in a long corridor, and by heading backwards, we find the first canister of the level. Nice. Next up, we fight through some Geonosians before making it to the room where all of the droids are created. By carefully following where the conveyor belt leads, we make it to the next section of the level. Here we can use Padme to grapple up and shoot the targets, which moves these massive buckets to allow Anakin and R2 to cross. By destroying this droideka and heading up this ramp, we find the next canister of the level. Then we use R2 to get us into this room, which turns out to be full of moving platforms. By becoming R2 though, we are able to just simply glide over to the end to grab the canister. While heading towards the next area, we destroy a bunch of bombs, getting us a ton of studs, to finish true Jedi for this level. Heading into the next area, we meet up with C3 C-3PO, who is stuck due to the lava in this section. With no way across, we use Padme to grapple over, grabbing a canister on the way. We then grab Anakin to use the Force on the platforms, so that C-3PO can safely make it across to open up the door for us. This next section is filled with caves in the walls, which let Geonosians out to attack us. Halfway through this section, we see a barrier which can be destroyed, and we enter the room. The room is a maze with R2 panels scattered throughout, and if we use R2 to get through the maze, we are rewarded with a canister at the end. Moving on, we use Padme to knock down this pillar, which lets Anakin use the Force to build a platform for R2 to fly over to the other side. As R2, we explore and see 2 droidekas and a canister hidden around the corner. We activate the panel so now C-3PO can cross, destroy the droidekas, and open up the door to the final section. We use some bombs to break through and fight a load of enemies who have Obi-Wan held hostage. After defeating them all, we use the Force to break out Obi-Wan. Just as we break him free, we get tracked down by more droidekas and Jango Fett, getting us the achievement Iron Men for finishing the level, and we unlock Anakin Skywalker Padawan, Padme, and C-3PO as playable characters. We then head straight into Chapter 3, Jedi Battle. Obi-Wan, Anakin, and Padme are tied up, ready to be executed. But just before anything happens, Mace Windu shows up to save them, but gets attacked by a new super battle droid, and drops down to the battlefield with loads of other Jedis who have shown up to rescue the gang. As the level begins, we can see Padme being guarded by a bunch of droids. We defeat them, but before rescuing her, I decide to explore the small level. With the level being so small, True Jedi was easily earned. I also tried to track down as many easy canisters as I could for now. The first was hidden behind a pillar. I finally saved Padme so I could use her to find more canisters, and all of the droids surrounding Anakin spawned in. After destroying all the droids, I was able to use Padme to grapple up to grab canisters 2 and 3, and we freed Anakin. The droids guarding Obi-Wan then spawned in. On the way over, by using the Force with Mace Windu and Anakin, I was able to unlock this gate to grab the next canister. We destroyed all the droids defending Obi-Wan, used Padme to collect canisters 5 and 6, and then freed Obi-Wan Kenobi. The next part of the level had us fight waves of different droids. After defeating them all, we see Jango Fett put on his helmet and fly down. It's time for a boss battle against Jango. Using Mace Windu, I was able to attack, deflect bullets and rockets, and explode Jango, causing his head to go flying across the battlefield. A Brussels sprout then showed up with the clone army and saved us all. Boba Fett held the head of his dead dad, which was pretty sad, but happy for us because we got the achievement The Geonosian Massacre, and unlocked Mace Windu and Padme Claude as playable characters. We then head into Chapter 4, Gunship Cavalry. This level is similar to the Podrace level where the canisters are in the containers, so I'll just go over the sections of the level. Straight away, I died by flying straight into a canyon. With this being a gunship though, we can fire rapidly at all of the enemies in the way. We had to avoid lasers, shoot down electrical traps in the way, and maneuver the tight pathways with the ship. This is by far the easiest level of the entire playthrough, which is weird because as a kid, I defo remember it taking a lot more time to finish. The final section of the level had us destroy more lasers to open up the controls to the ships, so they can also be destroyed. While doing this, I managed to grab True Jedi. As the ship blows up, we see Count Dooku ride away, and we get the achievement Revenge of the Fallen. Throughout the level, I collected all 10 canisters to get us a bunch more studs towards our 1 million stud goal, and enter into the final chapter of Episode 2, Count Dooku. We see Count Dooku arrive followed by Obi-Wan and Anakin in a gunship. As they jump out, the gunship gets shot down and Anakin just shrugs it off. Before heading inside to confront Dooku, I explored the small area. By jumping to my death, I'm rewarded with the first canister of the level. Heading inside, we fight some droids, and then we use the Force on these bombs to blow up the wall to reveal the next canister. In the next room, Dooku sends a bunch of Geonosians to attack us, and closes a gate behind him. We defeat them all and head to the left-hand side of the room. By pressing this switch, another platform opens up for our partner to go and stand on, which then lets another platform appear for us to jump on. By doing this, we are able to reach the third canister of the level. The right-hand side is similar. With platforms and switches, by working together, we are able to reach the switches for the gate to open up the final fight against Count Dooku. Heading into the room, Dooku has 10 hearts. After attacking him a few times, he sets up a force field for himself and starts throwing objects at us using the Force. But if we push them back, we are able to attack him. After doing this a couple of times, an intense fight breaks out. Dooku easily fights off Obi-Wan. Anakin then runs in and instantly loses his hand. Dooku then lifts up Anakin and yeets him towards Obi-Wan. At this point, Yoda enters the fight, and for the first time, we get to control Yoda, who is actually insane in this game. He constantly jumps around, has insane lightsaber attacks, and even a little old man-mobile, which he can use to get around super fast. While fighting Dooku as Yoda, we end up dying, hearing the iconic Yoda scream. But we get the achievement Maximum Pain for dying as Yoda. We take out Dooku's last heart. He then drops a massive column onto Anakin. Yoda instantly reacts and saves him, which gives Dooku the chance to escape. Padme shows up and shoots the two most pointless bullets of the entire franchise, and we get the achievement Tyrannus. And we unlock Yoda as a playable character, and that's episode 2 finished. The episode ends with Dooku meeting up with the Emperor and having a good old laugh, and that means we can finally start my personal favourite, episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. Well, it was my favourite until I played some of these levels. Let's dive in. Episode 3 Chapter 1 is Battle over Coruscant. We see Obi-Wan and Anakin flying in space, and they show up to a massive space battle. Again, this is a level where the canisters are easily grabbed throughout the level, so I'll go over the sections of this frustrating level. Literally, 3 seconds into the level, I died. This level can be cruel. There are so many bullets, tight corners, and the way the ship controls is so hard to get used to. The first section has you fly over massive spaceships, and we have to destroy the middle part of a ship and fly straight through it. Shooting as many enemy ships as possible will give us studs and extra hearts, but one mistake and you will die. I had rockets barely miss me before I had to shoot down a ship's bridge. The final section begins with shooting these two massive switches to fly through a tight middle section of a ship. You have to avoid tons of bullets and ships, and remember, 4 little hits and you have to do the whole section over again. I'm pretty sure this is the level I died on the most in the entire game. I even made it to the final bit of the level where you have to shoot out another 2 switches to turn off the force field to get inside the ship. Only problem was I was still a little bit off getting True Jedi, so I made the choice to crash in order to get it. Finally getting True Jedi and dying a few more times, I finally finished the first chapter of episode 3. Getting the achievement, this is where the fun begins. Thankfully, I grabbed all the canisters needed in this level, as well as True Jedi, so now I never have to play this level ever again. Let's move on to chapter 2, Chancellor in Peril. We see Obi-Wan and Anakin finally arrive at the ship. They jump out, and in the distance, we see General Grievous. Before following him, I check out the area to grab some early studs. Grievous runs off and sends a bunch of droids to attack us. We finish them off, open up the door, and continue. In the next section, there is a canister that can only be grabbed by a grapple character, but I gave it a go just to see if I could reach it using a jumping lightsaber attack, and I just about managed to grab it. Moving on, we fight some more droids and escape through a tunnel into the next section of the ship. We fight a ton more droids, and after defeating them, we meet up with R2-D2. Using R2, we can open up the doors and we find another canister, and use the force to bring out this explosive in order to escape up into the ceiling. Heading all the way to the left, we can find a canister, and then take on the right side. After killing a droideka, we use R2 to open up the lock door and head inside. Inside, we see the Chancellor handcuffed to a chair. As we go to free him, Count Dooku shows up with some more super battle droids, and now it's time to fight Dooku once more. This time, Dooku only has 6 hearts. The fight begins, and after taking some hearts and fighting some droids, Dooku jumps up top with the super battle droids. We destroy them and quickly explore the room in order to obtain True Jedi. Then we continue the fight against Dooku. Dooku has a similar pattern to Darth Maul, where he lifts one character up, so we need to switch in order to attack him. After taking his hearts, Anakin takes Dooku's hand and holds up 2 lightsabers to strike down Dooku once and for all. We rescue the Chancellor and explore the area. We find another canister hidden away behind a door. We then escape into a room with an elevator chasing us. I'm pretty sure it's an elevator because that's what it was in the film. Anyway, we make it to the end, into a room with a long corridor and a bunch of objects that we need to use the force on in order to make it past. Towards the end, we find another canister and make it to the final section of the level. We see General Grievous with 2 of his bodyguards. He then sends them to attack us while he flees in an escape pod. The bodyguards take a bit to take down. After taking 4 hits, they are still standing without a head. After another hit, we defeat them, fight some more droids, and explore the room. There is a canister on either side, and then we use the force on these switches. The ship goes crashing down to Coruscant, but has another happy landing. We leave the ship to be met by Mace Windu and obtain the achievement Do It, and unlock Obi-Wan Kenobi Episode 3, Anakin Skywalker Jedi, and Chancellor Palpatine as playable characters. And move on to Chapter 3, General Grievous. After escaping the ship earlier on, Obi-Wan has tracked Grievous down to this planet, along with Commander Cody. Obi-Wan finally confronts Grievous, and the battle begins. With 10 hearts, we start the fight against Grievous. Throughout the fight, Grievous will escape to different parts of the level, giving us some time to explore and grab canisters. The first canister was found by jumping over to this piece of land. The next 2 canisters I managed to grab with Obi-Wan's lightsaber jump. We found the next one by dropping down here. By destroying the bomb, it dropped a blue stud, getting us true Jedi for this level. And the final canister I found during the first playthrough of this level. By this point, Grievous now had 2 hearts left. After a couple of jump hits, he was defeated. He takes out Cody, then throws Obi-Wan away, who lands next to Cody's gun. He grabs it and hits the best headshot in the galaxy, finally defeating General Grievous. We obtain the achievement, Not General Kenobi, and unlock Commander Cody as a playable character. Now the next chapter, Chapter 4, is the worst level of the entire playthrough. I had so much trouble with this level, so let's get into Defense of Kashyyyk. The level begins with Yoda arriving to Kashyyyk and meeting up with Chewbacca. We turn these switches on to access the bridge. Check out a nearby area with pipes. By destroying them all and using the Force, we get our first canister for the level, and then we arrive at a small base with a ton of clones. Suddenly, the clones receive a message from the Emperor and turn on us, starting to attack us. Using Yoda, we easily take out all of the clones, but this now means we need to fight both clones and droids. We activate another bridge and see that some Wookiees have been captured by the clones. Along the way, we defeat some more clones and then rescue each Wookiee one by one. While saving the Wookiees, we find the next canister, up on this platform which I reached using Chewie's grapple. Now that all 3 Wookiees have been saved, we can use their help to get us into the next section of the level, the beach. This beach spawns infinite waves of enemies. Not a problem normally, but this beach is scattered with tons of plants that can only be destroyed with the Force. But every time you get shot while using the Force, the move gets cancelled. This meant getting the rest of the plants was going to be a problem. Every time you die, you also lose studs. Now, the reason why this level is so difficult is because true Jedi, for some reason, has an incredibly tight amount of studs needed, as you will see closer to the end of the level. For now, I grappled up to a bridge, shot 2 targets, and collected a canister before moving on from the bridge. This next section had commander droids who call in more reinforcements, so I dealt with those ones first, destroyed the other droids, and then searched the area. I destroyed as much stuff as I could possibly find, including these plants. I made a raft out of scrap, which came from the plants, and as you can see, I'm not even halfway to true Jedi yet. So, let's continue. The next section had a ton of enemies, including an ATXT walker. We then had to avoid some boulders rolling down the hills towards us. As we head up, we can grapple with the Wookiees to find our next canister. We reached the top and activated the gate. The final section of the level had another walker and a ton of clones for us to defeat. We had to activate and destroy the switches to reveal Yoda's ship. But before ending the level, I wanted to backtrack to see if I could find enough studs to get true Jedi. I spent 20 minutes backtracking and looking for any scraps of studs I could find, and the true Jedi bar was so close to being filled. I even found another canister along the way, but after so long searching and seeing no way of getting more studs, I decided to leave the level until later on. And when I tell you, I'm kicking myself watching this back right now, because I know exactly what went wrong. But for now, let's continue with the story. Yoda says goodbye to Chewie and leaves on his ship to go find the other Jedi. We get the achievement Order 66 and unlock Chewbacca as a playable character. Moving on to Chapter 5, Ruin of the Jedi, we see Obi-Wan and Yoda meet up at the temple, which has been abandoned and taken over. Obi-Wan sees some Jedi in the distance, but Yoda tells him no, they are not Jedi. The first canister can be seen right as the level begins, which we grab. Moving up, the hooded characters start to attack us, as they are disguised clones looking to take out any other Jedi that have shown up. We defeat them and take down the doors to the temple in order to head inside. Inside we see more clones who have fully taken over the Jedi temple. While exploring, we collect enough studs to grab true Jedi, and then we see a canister hanging over a ledge, so as always, I jump to my death to collect it. Heading back, I find a room full of clones just having pizza. After taking them all out, we take the canister. The next section is filled with more enemies. We arrive at an area with 3 switches that need to be activated. All 3 areas require the use of the Force in order to open up platforms for us to jump on. The final area also has a canister for us to grab. After turning on all of the switches, we can enter the next section. We defeat the last of the clones in the Jedi Temple. We use the Force on the CCTV to find out what happened here. The footage shows Anakin killing all of the Jedi and becoming the apprentice of the Emperor. with Obi-Wan looking super upset. We get the achievement, You Clones Make Terrible Jedi, and move on to the final level of the entire story, Darth Vader. Anakin and Padme are on Mustafar. They have an argument and then Obi-Wan appears from the ship. Anakin instantly begins to attack Obi-Wan. After a bit of fighting, Anakin runs off and Obi-Wan follows and the level begins. The first section of the level is a running section. The room is full of explosions and lava which we need to escape from while chasing Anakin. Towards the end of the section we find our first canister of the level. In the next room, we have 28 seconds to escape. However, if we build the structures back up, it gives us enough time to explore the room. The room is filled with studs and canisters, so we collect them all, getting true Jedi at the same time, and use the Force to escape the room. Obi-Wan and Anakin leave the room, and Anakin Force pushes Obi-Wan down the stairs. Obi-Wan chases him down and literally burns his ass with the lightsaber, and the chase begins once again. Right away there is a canister in the next section. We have to work with Anakin to get through the next section and also find another canister. Everything is being destroyed behind us, so we have to be as fast as possible through this section by using the Force and working together. Obi-Wan and Anakin are now fighting over a ton of lava. We now have to jump from platform to platform, actually playing the floor is lava. Throughout this area we find 2 more canisters, and by surviving all of the jumps we come to one piece of land at the end. And here, we as Obi-Wan must defeat Anakin Skywalker once and for all. It's a fight to the death, with both of us having 10 hearts each, but Anakin has made the same mistake as every other boss throughout this playthrough. He forgets that we are Obi-Wan friggin' Kenobi, and after some intense fighting, we take all 10 of his hearts. Obi-Wan pushes Anakin back into the lava, and Anakin starts to burn up as we get the achievement, I Hate You. We unlock our 14th super kit piece, and go on to finish episode 3. Padme is seen giving birth surrounded by C-3PO, R2-D2, and Obi-Wan. She pops out Luke and Leia, and then dies. The babies begin to cry. Meanwhile, the Emperor has found what is left of Anakin Skywalker and brings him to his ship to save him. We finally see Anakin become Darth Vader, and hearing the news of Padme dying, Darth Vader breaks down and destroys everything around him, and that's the end of the story. So, we still have a ton to do and a bunch of achievements to grab, so now it's time for our free play journey, where we can go back into every single level with all of the characters we need in order to grab the remaining canisters and true Jedis. I buy Darth Maul and Jango Fett from the character shop to help out, and head back to level 1. We use TC-14 to get into this room, stand on both switches, fight the droids, and grab canister number 5. In the next room, we use Kid Anakin to vent up and press this switch to lower the force fields. Then using the Force, we create a tower out of the blocks and use Jar Jar to jump up to grab canister number 6. In another room, by standing on this cart, our partner will use the Force to take us under the canister, and by jumping as Jar Jar, we grab it. By using R4, we enter a room with a switch that makes a platform appear. We can use this to open up the case to the next canister. Heading back to this section, there is a canister hidden up high, which we can use Jar Jar to grab. The final canister of level 1 is found in a previous room. We use the Force to open up this vent, jump inside with Jar Jar, and fly over the gap with R4, and activate the panel in order to get back. And by jumping on top of this ship with Jar Jar, we can grab the 10th canister for level 1. Remember, every time we complete a full minikit, we get 50,000 studs. We still need to reach 1 million studs for the achievement, and then we need to spend studs to unlock all the extras in the game. So let's move on to level 2. In level 2, the next canister is number 7. It's found by using the Force to stack these rocks. We shoot the targets and jump with Jar Jar to reach it. Number 8 is found by destroying the droid ship and jumping up with Jar Jar. Number 9 is found by destroying this tree earlier on in the level. The final canister is located by going into this vent with Kid Anakin. Heading into level 3, we find canister number 6 by ripping apart Lego stacks and stacking them up. We then reach it by jumping with Jar Jar. I told you Jar Jar is super useful in this game. By using the Force to build some platforms, we can glide across with R4 to grab canister number 7. Heading into the next section, if we use R4, not only can we glide across, but if you are a droid, the enemy droids will not attack you. By grappling up with Jango, we reach canister number 8. If we grapple here, we can use Kid Anakin to vent. We are taken up to a high building where the 9th canister is located. The final canister for level 3 is found here. By destroying the trees and stacking up the plant pots, we can use Jar Jar to jump and reach number 10. Another 10 down. That's another 50,000 studs, putting us over 700,000 studs now. Level 4 was the Podrace, so let's head into level 5. The next canister to grab in level 5 was the 6th canister, which can be grabbed at the very start, and by breaking this circular window, we can grab it. The next canister requires us to use the dark side of the Force to move this black object. We then use Jar Jar to jump up, and then use the Force again in order to destroy this ship to reveal the canister. All I'm saying, this is a Sith room, and we needed to use Jar Jar to grab the canister. Maybe he is a Sith Lord after all. Moving on to canister number 8, if we stack these tables, grapple up and follow the path, we can obtain the canister. Number 9 is found by simply grappling up towards this platform. And the final canister of level 5 requires us to use the Force to reach this high point. We switch to Jar Jar and jump up and follow the path all the way around to grab the 10th canister. The first canister I needed to grab from the Darth Maul level was actually really annoying. We find ourselves in this Sith room with some enemies and a bunch of red switches that light up when stepped on. We need to light all of them up at the same time, but I tried this a few times, and every time I got to the final switch, they would all start to turn off. After pulling my hair out for 5 minutes, my AI partner finally decided to join in and help press the switches, finally getting us the canister. After defeating a huge amount of droids, by using the Force on this yellow lift, we can jump up with Jar Jar to reach the 5th canister. In the next room, there are 2 R4 panels on either side of the door, which both activate a platform to take us over to canisters 6 and 7. The final 3 canisters are all found in the room where we fight against Darth Maul. By reaching the platforms he stands on, we can grab the final 3 canisters for this level. We now have every single canister from episode 1. Nice! Let's go grab the canisters from episode 2. In level 7, the 7th and 8th canister were found in this room, which we opened up with TC-14. By standing on the platforms one by one, we can slowly cross to the other side to grab one of the canisters. At the back of the room, we have a vent puzzle, and as long as we choose the right vent, the next canister is now ours. The next canister I actually had some problems with. You see, right now, Jango Fett is my main gun character for this level, and the way he fires is like bang bang, rather than a single blast. So that leads us to this lift, where we need to shoot 3 perfect shots to access the canister. It took a bit of time to line up the timing using Jango, and it would have been 100 times easier with any other gun character, but I finally did it and grabbed the canister. The final canister required us to use the dark side of the Force. By blowing up the door, we enter into a room. We can use the Force on both of these valves to grab the canister. Jumping into level 8, after the conveyor belt, if we follow the middle path back towards the camera, we can find another area, and by using the Force, we create a platform to take us over. Once inside a hidden room, we see a red, yellow, and blue chamber, with a black chamber at the end, presenting a colour that we have to create. We make orange, green, and purple in order to obtain the canister. Moving to the next section with the caves in the walls, if we use the Force to create a platform, we can use Jar Jar to grab the 8th canister. For the 9th canister, if we use this R2 panel, we get given a bunch of bricks. By using the Force, they create another platform for us to jump, and with using Jar Jar, we can reach the canister. In order to get the 10th canister, I had to start the level over, as I forgot to grab this one right at the start. By using Kid Anakin to vent up, we grab the final canister for the level. Heading into level 9, Jedi Battle, the first 2 canisters needed were right next to each other. We grabbed them by simply jumping up with Jar Jar. For the 9th canister, we used the Force to build this vent for Kid Anakin to get behind the gate and grab the canister. For the final canister, all we had to do was build this tower in the correct order, and then we can reach it with Jar Jar. By grabbing all 10 canisters in this level, we finally had enough studs to reach 1 million, popping the achievement Millionaire. Now, a million studs might seem like a lot, but due to the amount of characters and the cost of some of the extras in this game, we still have quite a bit to go. So with that, let's jump into level 11, as we already have all the canisters from level 10. Right away, by grappling up, we can grab canister number 4. Now that we can use Jar Jar in this level, we were able to reach canisters 5 and 6. Heading into the final section with the fight against Dooku, if we explore the room, we can find a vent and a grapple to use for canister number 7. On the other side of the room, by shooting these targets, we grab canister number 8. The final 2 canisters are found here. We can create a tower by using the Force. We head up to grab canister number 9, and by shooting down some of the ceiling, we can reach the final canister of the level. Also, by playing this level again, we finally obtained True Jedi, and then this achievement popped. The war is not over. For getting 100% in all of the the Attack of the Clones levels. So this got me thinking, we never got an achievement like this for episode 1. Well, turns out my dumbass forgot to get the True Jedi in the pod racing level. So after a quick playthrough, True Jedi was obtained, getting us the achievement The Saga Begins, for getting 100% in all of the Phantom Menace levels. Now let's wrap up on episode 3. Heading into level 13, we find the first canister needed at the very start by grappling up here. Next, by opening up this door using TC-14, we find the 9th canister. Somehow during my first playthrough, I never grabbed this canister, which was the final one needed with a single jump. Level 14 was the fight against Grievous, and by heading up top, we can jump with Jar Jar to get this canister. Then heading around the corner, we find another one, which leads to a bridge to a hidden room. In the room, if we activate all these switches with the Force, then the 8th canister reveals itself. Heading over to the very left hand side of the level, we can find the final 2 canisters needed. Skipping level 15 for now, if we head into level 16, we can find canisters 5 and 6 here. By stacking up some platforms, we can reach one with Jar Jar. The other one is just above the doors to the Jedi Temple. By destroying this window, we can grab it. Heading inside the temple, we can find the council room of the Jedi, and by stacking the chairs, we reach the 7th canister. The 8th one can be reached by jumping with Jar Jar. The 9th is also found by using Jar Jar. We can now jump up on this platform to make it up top, and by jumping over the force field, we can deactivate the other 3 sections of this level to find the canister. In the final section, we can activate another panel for Jar Jar to jump on to reach the final canister. For level 17, we can now find the 8th and 9th canisters. One is hidden in this room, which we activate with R2, and the other is hidden behind this area, which we use the Force to blow open. The final canister is found in the lava section, where we can simply fly over using R2-D2. Now for the final level to finish up both canisters and True Jedis for the playthrough. I mentioned earlier on in the story that level 15, the Defense of Kashyyyk, was my most hated level, and here's why. So, you saw how close we got with True Jedi in the story mode. Well, I did some researching, and turns out in the story mode, you need 45,380 studs in order to reach True Jedi. However, in free play, we now need 60,080 studs, which is ridiculous. So let's quickly cover the canisters, and then I'll get into the headache of achieving True Jedi. By flying over with R2 to this platform and then grappling over, we can find canister number 6 on this high up platform with Jar Jar. Number 7 I also reached with Jar Jar and R2-D2. In this area, if we use the Force on the X-Wing, we can then jump up to obtain the 8th canister. And here is where I made a discovery that made me want to pull my hair out. You see, the last time we played through this level, I could have sworn I tried everything to find studs, and I kept seeing these green plants everywhere, which I tried to attack, but with no luck of destroying them. But out of pure luck, I did a lightsaber jump attack here, and noticed something got destroyed. It was one of the green plants. I couldn't believe it. This entire time I could have just destroyed them all and grabbed the studs during the story mode. But that's not even the end of it. Let me grab the final canisters and I'll let you guys know another part of the level that made me want to cry. By using the Force on this plant, it reveals a grapple, and then flying over with R2-D2, we can get the 9th canister for this level. The final canister of this level and the entire game is just above Yoda's ship. By jumping up high, I finally get the achievement Canisters for collecting every single canister in the game. Now, in order to get True Jedi in this level, I needed every scrap of studs I could find. But there's one bit of the level I need to remind you guys of. You remember the beach and just how many enemies there are? Well, to even have a chance to get enough studs, there are a ton of plants that need to be destroyed with the Force. Only problem is, every single time I go to try this, I get shot and die and lose more studs. So, even though I spent the entire game saving up 1 million studs, this is how fast you can spend it. I had to buy the invincibility extra just to even have a chance at getting these plants on the beach. And the worst thing, you can still get shot, which stops you using the Force move halfway through. So I struggled for close to an hour, grabbing every plant, every stud, anything I could find. And by the end of it all, I had 57,300 studs. What could I possibly be missing at this point? So, I took to the internet and found a forum from 2006 of people discussing how to get True Jedi on this level. And then I saw it, a post from 19 years ago that simply said, hey, you can destroy the lights at the very start of the level. I just sat there for a couple of minutes. At the start, there are these lights that I kept using the Force on to turn them on, and nothing else would happen. And I always thought it was a bit weird. So I traveled all the way back to the start of the level, use my lightsaber, and of course, a bunch of studs come flying out. Thank God for the internet. I was finally able to achieve True Jedi and finish up the Defense of Kashyyyk level, once and for all, popping 2 achievements. True Jedi for finally achieving True Jedi status in every single level, and the saga ends for getting 100% of all of the Revenge of the Sith levels. With the final True Jedi locked in, we got the last super kit piece needed and unlocked a bonus level of episode 4. Hell yeah. Before heading into the bonus level, I celebrated by buying as many characters as I possibly could, which only led to a problem. I still needed enough studs to grab the last few characters, and all of the extras in the game, they're worth 1.6 million more studs. But let's not worry about that for now. Let's play the bonus level of episode 4, A New Hope. The level begins with a Republic ship being followed by the Empire. They shoot the ship to slow it down and board. As we enter, we get to play as Darth Vader and a Stormtrooper. Now this level is great for studs. For a bonus level, there are so many little things you can interact with to grab studs. Just destroying all these panels had tons of blue studs hidden behind them. I took my time playing through the level to see just how many studs I could actually collect on my first playthrough. The first room I came to had a bunch of colourful bricks, which could be moved by using the Force. It took me a lot longer than I care to admit, but after I finally figured out the correct way to spell out the word Lego, it dropped a ton of blue studs down from the ceiling. The next room had these switches to turn on, which released C-3PO. By using C-3PO, we made it through more of the level until we came to this room. We created a big switch in the centre that would turn on some of the fans in the room, which had loads of blue studs to collect. The only thing I didn't like was that the switch needed turning every single time I wanted to use it to get more blue studs. The final room opened up with C-3PO revealed Princess Leia. She gave R2-D2 a message and ran off. The level ends and we get the achievement A New Hope with a message of to be continued. Nice. After playing through the level, we unlocked Darth Vader and the Stormtrooper, and we also managed to grab 126,000 studs for the first run through. With the studs earned from the level, I was able to buy the last few characters I needed. For the achievement, they'll soon be back. So all we needed now was enough money to save up to buy all of the extras in the game. Now, I had 2 options to make this possible. The first option was to play through the bonus level of episode 4 over and over again, grabbing about 126,000 studs every single time. The only problem with that is the amount of time it would take to do, as the level took about 20 to 30 minutes per playthrough. Now I did see some people talking about the last bit of grinding, and now you can just input cheat codes in order to get all of the extras. Nah, don't worry, we're doing this the proper way. The final option was to grind studs in the first part of the Darth Vader level. If you run through the exploding part, you can grab around 5,000 studs every 30 seconds. So, in order to do this, I spent over 2 hours running through this starting section to grab all of the studs needed in order to buy everything. I hit 500,000 studs, then 1.3 million studs. Then I grabbed the extra 300,000 needed to finally buy all of the extras in the game, getting us the achievement Best Customer. And you'll see the final extra we bought was the brushes extra. This turns all lightsabers into brushes. So I headed into the very first level with General Grievous. I pulled out all 4 of his lightsabers to pop the final achievement of the playthrough, Professional Cleaner, and finally mastering LEGO Star Wars the video game for the PlayStation 2. If you enjoyed this video, check out one of my other achievement playthroughs on the screen right now, and be sure to subscribe to find out what game I'll be mastering next. Thank you for watching.